this country, I took the train down to Brighton Beach. I spent some time in Vienna, distant cousins, all of us somehow descended. Grandmother, my grandmother's sister, she and I sort through old photographs of her and others, and my grandmother cousins perched outside the monastery's farmhouse. The grass faded black and white where the elders of the old hacienda used to live. When its halls were still luminous, cups of tea and it well set. She doesn't know what Wi-Fi is and hates to speak over the phone. Her husband Martin is jovial and laughs at the things I say. Never entirely, I am sure, understanding my barely enunciated English. Stately furniture, silver and books, a radio transmitter in the gray apartment complex. I returned to her daughters, a bright-eyed social worker named after my great-grandmother B. She has a tactful manner, a beautiful old apartment near Schönbrunn, and her daughter, about my age, tells her of master's programs in maths. And also how rent control works here. They speak amiably in Viennese German. I tire easily, fall asleep on the couch after taking photographs of photographs. Beatrice and I returned to her room with a speedy cab ride through the old city, paid for by her mother as we passed the ornate buildings of Ringstrasse. She has always questions me about the American side of the family. I answer eagerly, always glad to parse apart personalities, and others sleep in the side room, disturbed only by my writings and music and musings. I remember this like the taste of meat and vanilla, all the bunks and glasses, the yellow U-bone and trash cans and the rough edges, softly spoken everywhere, everyone business-like, no turnstiles to jump. The city always nearly quiet like a town on the horizon, blinking lights through the shared garden. It continues in patchwork, endless line every direction. I remember how to locate by longings here these which get me distracted from the place before now served as a useful compass. I am at ease in Greensburg and will go with the house of my old German household, who now begs to burn that scruffy elevator which sinks downward when we walk in, but then bravely rises its quaint mirror, reflecting the swim scene. We have a pot of tea in bed early, as I am by now nearly unconscious. My half-in, half-out state persists. I have become an early riser, too early, the moon pale and christened by the first glow of sunrise over the Baroque facade of the building facing. I take a stroll with Anne, her voice curious and childlike as ever. She asks of Prague, where M once went. Emma described Prague innocently. Each European city was described thusly, but I fail to remember which was which. Takes us to the river, which is beautiful, carried by a subtle, continuous current. The architecture of buildings I could not name. The sculpture of the men introduced to the art of the museum is exhaustion and goodness. I retire again early if anywhere, and then I am awake again by another elephant. It seems perfect. It's not my unmarried server. I am threadbare, foolish, to go across the world elephant calls, also in DC, telling me of her lost bed. And then her line goes silent, but relevant sound of a train hitting the tracks. I am in Jay's kitchen all the while, Lorraine, reminded of a time that my friend once called me a mouth god. Years ago, with a note I had to pull her school one, and she was safely found. I did not think else. I had trained on purpose. The sound of the tracks was all I could sense in my life. But she phoned 20 minutes later saying her friend simply died as the train was going by. I settled in an uneasy rest. I went on a stroll with Jay at Temple of Parkway from the old airport, him with coffee and me with tea that he brought for me. He was boyish in the spring-like sun, though it was still only January. He had found work as a political consultant on many cutting-edge avenues, and an internet governance project for instance, or assisting with Parliament. It was easy to come up with ideas on the spot to stand on the runway thinking. He also spoke of perhaps wilder days in the States. Where we had gone to school together, I took a stroll, so it's he spoke with an unassuming and yet decidedly careless air. For someone from New York who had attended liberal arts school, and yet now she worked as a flight attendant, which fascinated me as I wondered what one could observe from compartmentalized glimpses that the air service work offered. We parted, and I went then to Elle's house, a girl who had been my closest friend at school when we had studied in Thailand 5 years ago. Elle had just got a flat with her boyfriend and worked only to attain a visa as her parents were wealthy enough to support her still. Her father, a prominent Chinese actor, her house was full of IKEA boxes, and we shared some tea and cheese and chocolate. Her life seemed further into a pursuit of stability. She was unsurprisingly the same, and I, as usual, felt the wilder wind. Her mannerisms were identical as before. Still the complete smile she offered in the way she looked away, thinking before telling carefully her life's events. I went back to Jay's this evening, found the taillights of cars burned between yellow buses and trams in the pale fading light. There I fell again into sleep. There was that evening a meeting with us who was direct and yet verbose, who always sat like Gaius, who was pretty with dark curls, and we sat in a flurry of white birds on the stairs leading to some rock of dark water. They told of their upbringing, escapable and orthodox Jewish families, patriarchy, suspending belief, fitting in education, moving to Berlin. I walked back to the tea shop, them smoking, their bicycle chain frustrated. I felt tall and implacable. I had spent the day in the sun from the window, first as it rose, and finally as the light spread across my face until sunset. I then went with P to go to an art exhibit at Spongehouse Castle Lake with a moat. P was skeptical of everything and described the world as a hellscape. He laughed. The company there was full of errors for me. It fell through. Broken technology, transgender nudity, we hadn't seen it all before. What of it? I only liked it that empty white tile, green, even found a lettering crazy. Metal structures shaped like bamboo shoots. Worse still were the workers with their cropped white pants and little shoes and perfected accessories. In caps, their glasses were modern, everything impeccably created for somebody best. I decided I hate art. An older Berliner, a friend of his, drove us back. To be in each place is a reiteration, a reincarnation of the usual frameworks, people and their varying attitudes. People who clean street corners or sit drunk leaning into other passengers on buses, or who attend offices at strict hours, people who shout offerings at passerby, and people who sit in town cafes, awaiting business meetings. Shirts are robes and pants, and shirts of the way of living their commentary on the people with whom they intermingle. The streets they walk, always the history of the city rearranged for private vehicles or flushed around the skeleton of a public transit system. The artificial buildings layered through the landscape, a landscape perhaps unwatchful or unwatchful government corporate entity. Few cameras are whack, deal everything about our own stores, selling a selection of analogous fruits. Vegetables say citrus to be held in the hand, and why something extra you can get here and only here. Turkish delight and simple, I am in for a few hours. I ride on a bus across from 2 women in pale pink hijabs. The outskirts of the Asian side are made up of chandelier shops and billboards that look like skyscrapers. Shopping malls we descend near. I get lost on the bus after a bus train, then to the Blue Mosque. I'm thinking of here in so many shops of the downtown. Evidently meant for tourists where cloaked figures sit drinking drinks I cannot name or in a costume. Trying to make a sale where everything is neon and the street makes a sudden turn into a mosque and then the prayer call run out before I turn back to Asia and amid a crowd of men. I want some to be white towels, but really they're dressed for a holy pilgrimage. I enter the airport terminal below. The airport seems populated by more police than passengers. They pace grimly about in the white pastel spaces. Shopkeepers nod off on the bus. Silent men sway in their seats sometimes. Some occasionally barking out slurred. The bus is a haven for the homeless. As the weather turns cold, they get drunk and ride the airport bus all night. The man next to me slips nearly into my lap until I nudge him off, which wakes him, and he stares at me indignantly until I look away. Out the window at the foggy ancient city is illuminated in joyous Christmas and New Year's lights and lights and all the scenes of us white and red. In the past, a gigantic tree at the center, retired to speaking Roman hostel that was once a land polishing company, and declined Romans had heard to carry on the house. The subway I was at another house with the guys in the basement, and I looked her face interested in the company. She did put on to me as a gift. I do like these bags of green t-shirt that I'm trying to stitch. Her face was full of very large brightness and choice brilliant ceremonies which seemed I'm curious and more questions until she possibly enjoyed the subject of the student. Also by garden now, to be able this is the right part of it. The streets were good and this beautiful leather, ancient castle, and the exhibited that maybe with the eye of a Westerner, I found this design a delight while others have suffered through or not. Shall honor one shuffle the boulevards and the still rampant on the tide of people until some put out dragons pushed quite near the west. This one is it so I like it into that space that no one's going to this one in the grocery stores. Goes home until the city herself when the guys walked as well as small. The Paris Jewish stories nights on before the doors to each church were closed, the shadows went downstairs and the mysterious streets stretching out to meet the sharpness of the commentary and spread over his eyes and everyone in space of his glad to sink it to open the candles covers in the room and suddenly just the chatter of outside. So I think her name's Alice is with the Georgia fog on the sun. Someone yearns to visit her in the story. He likes to anytime the defender was a kind man and accompanied by women who said the humor felt softer this time in the U.S. Embassy with the usual word in and Vietnam was for the memory of a trade. And the Georgians gave the Americans in Bible House 2006 received shame for the isolation of the mountain. My river perfect, and their other mountains must be addressed to the monsters, the area of the European mountains and Murray Hills, these which did not live on Kirkball picture. Two rivers that glowed warmth of traffic, the city of a white church at its center of this curtailed. I was surprised by the rules that thinking God, I think, existence are beyond thought.
sometimes it's something on that trust. And here, how could to be afraid of death? I was falling into 2 stray dogs. To be end, Amy, which is more like a travel and a tourist restaurant surrounded by colleagues. The dining with his members of really sweet well into the hours physical realm, but many prominence. Of course, it's served there with great nice. I think it might have from my tangent distilleries and talking again I made today like other raised the glasses and assist to the numerous.
Carpet symbolizing to be the famous version of and to have recognized as links to wonderful vision we are so what I was with the men I did not raise my glass consistent and response to the there was in the following day the series of meetings. Generally there is a wall, the ruling party is and the opposition is seeking the funds of the internationals. The flows on the Russians catering by the top it does not with the voyage parliamentarian is caught in more than world and intimate and hushed tones or scoffings with theories. The mutterings of the elder, the parliament door, and protect that in society discouraged as the crashes to skeleton. Then again, with the text 5 burns, husband by crash, someone falling into the forest, advisor came from you. In an action, the extreme faction re-emerges in a few directions. The dominant Orthodox priest and all the ruling party slips into the great news and blood. Our most serious discussion I decided was one room painted by a damage to the walls of translation or the human rights work. My officer tells me it has many tours of Europe. How they pay well for extras, artists and albeit we walk them. Then quickly out, but for which theme bar his thoughts he says are readable only in the autistic sense. I offer a cup of tea, he arranged for us to play a show at Apple Park. So shouts on the building to my side and treat your office. I was just afraid that I was burdening you. This hospitality that is general has no justification even in this way. I wonder if I should have given you some gifts in exchange just for having seen me, though I'm not sure if you ever seen me now or before. And then I realized that maybe there's nothing of mine that you would have wanted anyway. And when it comes to this, I have this some paradigm pearl I like is to give, but I recognize the furnishings are gone and everything is in some strange and secret shroud. The tiles missing and small fractures in the wall that remind me of my mother and her dark illness. As I open the door to the balcony, there is a great gust of wind. And even the lightning strikes hitting the road. It is a kind of for me to not know better to write than it is good to make someone sense. Still, it is good to think with a burst of familiarity there goes something. Stood in lines with the 2 other men before they did the showers. Occasionally takes because I was lost. Now I searched soberly, standing on a small black box of a girl who searches not always terraces. They all look curious and something tender, and I had no connection on me, and they were to take my card for the metro, but and you already looked your beard across the 69 or something like that. I went to the kindness of my office. The subway took me to the rail station. I heard the rain water and the presence of one in tower. Of course, he raised the truck driver, which I saw the earlier was about to bring one again to this like past the sleeping the wild was and I didn't wake up. I said, no, I wake up. I'm still nothing calls and whatever you want. It was a stranger, but occasionally I went and some that was handed most of everything else I've seen. And then you went down some entire table and Sarah super sticks on with the mustaches you went to see when you first talked to me. I'd want to stare up. I'd like someone down longer than ours. Through past the shapes of your face recognized comments written in a way I found that there was a key and still standing. Could I say yes, there is being here without really knowing if it is so hard and I was not able to meet your steady gait. Motorbike lamp illuminated a steady single burning light, and then the water spread as it collected in one pebbles, tossed in the trash. More men in the shadows of river faces and arm and leg. I knocked at the entrance of my house, which was the men's.
I tried, I think, howling. Alternated with what sounded to be someone's pains of labor, but I knew were not, and then sickness coughing up something. Multiple people sick. Maybe I washed my feet as they had been soaked through and laid down in this deep and illusory space, this real place that to me was like another people into the world. And other people into the world from the eye of an omniscient God, looking dimly at the great buildings, the red fort, and so forth, but at a hurried distance, the Indian army, ubiquitous, I felt. Tide of nationalism, and a dog running gamely down the street. The cab driver took me to one terminal, then another, confused, sought the help of another man in this language I didn't understand. I think Timon was deposited, but with not long before my flight, and a worried airport worker with a wide grin and a green vest took me under his wing, racing me through customs and security, through many small conversations with many officials. I was like some secret diplomat, and a smile on my face as my wrist to the shed a tear upon the first sight of him, and then escorted through the great endless labyrinth of maze of the city. After sitting there smiling next to him on the buses, the bus driver and his friend yelled at the arrival bus gangs, and the people hopped on or off as the bus got moving through the corridors of these dusty streets with small beautiful houses stacked on top of one another, and the lost dogs in the deep mountain distance that appeared behind and then slipped outwards, leaving one with the impression that the road led to a cliff or the sky. He was then showing me through a maze of produce and trinkets and other such things, and I was suspicious of this kindness by which he accompanied and explained everything. But he accommodated or whatever, and I had no money anyway, and it seemed kindness was his law and system. He and his other brother made me some tea in the evening and sang a mantra to me. He sang a mantra to me. He would sing many mantras in the next 7 days, a religious program, this time honoring those who would pass it unexpectedly, so that they might not wonder that earth lost, but find peace in it. Another of his brothers from the non-profit school with these little houses in the meditation garden took me down the winding alley and through the dusty street to the money changer, and then to Monkey Temple, where the monkeys did steal the cookie from my hand and my laundry was taken from me. All of this making me feel so different and sorrowful to have so much to be treated generously. Though still I counted the money because of a tourist I appeared and would be charged extra, but in this country, which was poor in money benefit, I was poor in the States, but could still drink water from the tap. Here some got by banging on buses from a young age, counting the rupees, nudging people on and off. Some washed the clothes by the sidewalk, some walked amid the refuse with the polluted streams. Shanties are tall, pinkly painted buildings, stops, some manned the endless shops. Many took the pride of tourism, and others, like Manu, as he called himself, brother, studied and took me from place to place through some non-profit organization that nebulously permitted peace and love. He was taking a break from social media and from school until his results came in, and he could get a master's, for now he just was, in fact, all complete. People were swarming about the temple, kids swinging from the edges precariously just beyond that view of the city. The brother fed his cookie into the open mouth of a child, sitting in the steps. Families with large babies moved to and fro, men swatting at the monkeys. Elderly women went up step by step, and not a breath of silence, but still the holy touch of the wind to move